So oftentimes I find myself having to be very careful of what I say, even though I never have any malevolence in my discourses, as it were. When I'm talking about various subjects, sensitive and non-sensitive, people take things the wrong way because we live in a world full of all kinds of people. And unfortunately, there are groups and pockets of individuals that are underserved. What I mean by that is underserved oftentimes by themselves, just limiting their own individual education. They choose to be who they are, not wanting to be better, not wanting to strive to add on to their foolishness that they've gathered over the years. All of the nonsense and all of the ideologies and things that people attach themselves to, belief systems as it were, these people won't question and or challenge the truth. They take it just for surface reasons. In other words, on the outside, you hear someone say something, you won't investigate it and find out if it's true. You won't fact check. You just simply go on with your ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I'm not necessarily saying that you are a stupid individual. I'm just saying you're someone who's not informed or not educated on a particular subject and or topic. So I say all that to say this. My brother, and he is my brother, martial arts brother, and I don't know him personally, Michael Jai White. I talked about him, and most of my conversation began when he said that he could have beat Bruce Lee, of course, about a year ago. And that brought
that was something.
A storm of rebuts.
He said that, boy. That made a lot of people hot and sore. Oh boy, people were sore after that.
As it were, attacks on him. And then he tried to go back and clean it up. And I responded to it. Beardy, who has a YouTube channel, he responded to it. A samurai individual, I forget the full channel name, but he's responded to it. And he's even had a conversation with Michael Jai White. But for some reason, Michael still seems to lean on this big is better than a smaller person mindset when it comes to fighting. And I've heard Michael in interviews before say that he was not a fighter. And here in more recent videos, he said that he was a fighter. Which one is it?
I never heard that.
Which one is it? Are you a fighter or not? Now, I don't subscribe to what people say in defense of him, and I'm in defense of anyone that's right. But I don't subscribe to people who say, well, he has a black belt in several martial arts. So do I. What's the point? That does not necessarily speak to your character. When you open your mouth, that's what speaks to your character. Especially when you open your mouth and then you follow with some actions that don't match what you're saying, if you're saying something positive. Now, he said a lot of things that I do agree with. Michael Jai White has, that is. But this thing about Seagal,
oh boy,
how he's put him down, how he's put Van Damme down as a fighter.
Now, wait
Body
a minute,
language says it all.
But hold it now.
Which?
Because Steve, I don't know who said what first, but I think me and the teacher watched the same videos. Because that Steven interview, the guy said something like if you were in a real situation, who would you want to have your back? Some of the martial art guys or something like that. And the guy brought up he said Michael Jai White, and he was like, can I laugh in your face? He's like, you serious? He's like, yeah. And then he said Van Damme, can I laugh in your face? He said it again. Then who else? He brought up somebody else. Chuck Norris said, well, Chuck is old. Chuck is 76 years old. And that's the thing I agree with the teacher on that. Because me and my buddy, we had the same talk. You can't go by the man is old or what he what he looked like. Because like the person, remember that old army veteran, that man was 70 something and beat this guy's head in. So he beat him like he gave him a Rocky Balboa beating, beat him bad. Who he beat that? It was awful. He beat him like he was a younger guy, like he was 30 something. He beat him bad.
To speak says it all. Now you can't go back and recant or change what you said because it's been said and it's out here on the airwaves, the waves, or whatever, and people see it. So just be very careful what you say when you're on a platform like this. I'm saying this to anyone. And so I'm saying this to say I don't believe that Michael Jai White ever was apologetic as it related to him making a statement about him beating Bruce Lee. I believe he actually meant that. And he can go back and have several interviews thereafter and say, well, I made a mistake. I messed with people's idol. Hell is my idol too, is what he said. It's his idol too. Wouldn't have never done it. Not me. Never. I do possess some level of humility. And then you have to go and pose by Bruce Lee's gravesite and Brandon Lee's gravesite as if that really is going to mean anything. Even if he did the picture at the gravesite in Seattle before he made the statement about beating Bruce Lee, even if he did it before then, you know, it was posted online several times. Is that supposed to make it right, what you said? That you could beat Bruce Lee?
Brother teacher ain't letting it slide. He ain't letting it slide.
He was saying that from the standpoint of Bruce Lee was a martial arts actor. Again, sounds like Chuck Norris to me. Something he would say.
Chuck Norris.
Now, even though Chuck Norris never specifically said Bruce Lee was an actor, what I'm getting at is this. Chuck Norris always wanted to put himself, if you watch his videos and his interviews, on the level of Bruce Lee, and he was nowhere near that. And we should know that by now. I hope you do. Now
wait a minute.
I love Chuck Norris.
Hold on now.
As a martial artist.
When it came down to, and you might disagree, if it came down to Chuck and Steven, I would put Chuck Norris over Steven as far as putting him up there with Bruce Lee, because Chuck Norris was a bad dude. He's like what's name said. Well, he's 70 something years old. So still wouldn't go bother him. Just like the other guy. He said he fought each other. Uncle Gene, Judo Gene LaBelle. He said, man, he don't care about him being 80 years old. He's still dangerous. Or 84 years old, however old he is. So yeah, you can't assume. And same thing with the he's talking about the guys. Like my buddy talking about the guy being built. He's like he said it was funny is the way he said he's like built ain't scaring nobody. He was like but then again, if it was talking about Mike also if it was Mike versus Bob Sapp, I'm putting my money on Mike. I like Bob Sapp too, but I don't know. It's about that. Anything could happen, but yeah. So, because in that fight, Michael Jai White, he'd be the smaller guy, because Bob Sapp is, I don't know, 320, 330, I don't know, but yeah, that'd be something.
He's not the greatest martial artist. I'm not the greatest martial artist, so let me qualify that in case you want to jump in there, you trolls out there. But anyway, Michael Jai White is not the greatest.
You got 7 or 8 belts. You're pretty dangerous.
Now,
pretty
on
serious.
Record, on the books, no human being is the greatest martial artist. We don't ever know, we never will know. But in the world of martial arts, Bruce Lee is the most popular.
That's the one they always talk about. Yeah, the one they talk about.
50 years after he's been gone now, he still is. So now, what's the basis of this whole general conversation, if you will? I don't believe that Michael Jai White is truly sorry for saying that he could beat Bruce Lee. I think he meant it, as I said before.
Brother teacher's not having that. He say he's not having that.
I love the man as a martial artist because he's good. He's very good. But what I don't like is the flipping and flopping kind of part. I would say this to him out of love and respect.
I haven't seen. That's another thing.
Right now.
I haven't seen his old Michael old interviews. All I see is he's been on the Vlad stuff. But interviews from 15, 20 years ago, I ain't seen none of that. Now he might have seen something older than that. But like the ones with him and then Steven Seagal, I'm pretty sure we've seen some of the same interviews. He's been on not Steven. Vlad probably 2 or 3 times by now. Yeah. So he might have seen some of the same interview. But yeah, that Jet Li, Bruce Lee thing. Oh boy, people got hot. They got hot
I don't
about
like the
that.
flipping and flopping. You know, you try to keep repairing something that you've already said when it's really what you meant. I would say this to him as a friend. We were friends and knew each other intimately in that way. But sometimes celebrity gets to people. When you're in the spotlight, limelight, you star in movies, you tend to get beside yourself. You do. And when you're interviewed and you're on a larger platform where millions of people are potentially watching you, you got to make it sound right. Have to make it sound good. So sometimes we inflate.
I don't see Steve. I mean, I don't see Steve.
Like Chuck Norris saying.
Steven. See, Michael Jai White is the big-headed, the arrogant person. Now Steven, different story, but maybe he feels like he's low-key arrogant or something like that. He said the Jet Li thing, Bruce Lee thing. I don't know. But the Steven thing, Steven's a lot worse. That's like me saying, okay, somebody asked me about, okay, what about Jim Kelly? Kind of laugh in your face. People will think I'm drunk or something. Jim Kelly will kick your chest in. They'll be thinking I've been drinking the hard stuff.
Taught Bruce Lee high kicks. I don't buy that. For real? You taught Bruce Lee high kicks? I can believe that you demonstrated and showed him things that you did, but you didn't teach him anything. Chuck Norris was Bruce Lee's student. If the truth be told, just like he was Bob Wall's teacher, and even Bob Wall admitted that, and he was Joe Lewis's teacher, and Joe Lewis admitted that as well, and even gave Bruce Lee his proper credit. Never seen Chuck Norris do it. Give Bruce Lee his
Didn't know that about
proper credit.
About Joe Lewis. Didn't know that.
I've never seen Michael Jai White give Bruce Lee his proper credit. He's looking at him more as a movie star that knew martial arts. That's the way I see it. That's not my opinion. I know Michael is in his 50s now. I'm old school, and I'm a baby boomer, and I was doing this before Michael. And we are a different breed.
Yeah, brother.
We're the ones who set the pace.
Brother Teacher, he got to be 60 years old.
Around the 60s.
Yeah.
70s.
He's got to be 60. Yeah.
Those were the guys. And I was coming up during that period when Bruce Lee was popular. These other guys are coming later. Not giving them any, not just due. They're all due what's due to them. Michael, again, is a very good martial artist. I love most of his movies that I've seen, especially Blood and Bone.
Using Universal Soldier with Van Damme and Goldberg and all them. That fight scene. Ooh boy, that was pissing my boy off because I don't think he was in the Michael Jai White that much back then. But yeah, he was like, Van Damme, get your ass off the floor. It was Van Damme was getting his ass beat. Oh, that was crazy. And that was a young Michael Jai White. That was 20-something years ago. But yeah. But how would they do in a street fight or a tournament fight? That would be interesting. Even back then, it would have been interesting.
The movies I've watched, but again, I believe that he inflates things. And before I go, I want to say this about the big versus small. And someone made this statement, reply on one of my movies about a similar subject, if you will. If size doesn't matter, then why do they have different weight classes? Who created that?
That's for tournaments,
There's
though. Or for
in
you, like
boxing,
UFC or something.
Featherweight, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight, this kind of stuff in boxing. And I mean, even though you look at martial arts sporting events, if you will, or competitions, they have weight divisions in some of those arenas as well. But can you pick a person in the street that's your weight to make it even, to make it worthwhile in a street confrontation? You can't pick and choose who you fight, who you're protecting yourself against. Can you?
Mm.
So can a small person beat a big, bigger person in the street? Can you? Or are we only going to say that big guy's going to win because he's big? It doesn't even make sense. You
Yes,
can't pick
yeah,
and
some,
choose who you
some,
fight in
yeah,
the street.
some do.
You
Let
just
built,
can't do it.
some let
So,
built go to their head.
There's no weight class, right? It is what it is. So-
Because you could have Chuck Norris versus Batista, and Batista's a big dude, but like you said, like my buddy was saying, like, built don't mean anything. Chuck is faster. I mean, if Batista he grabs a hold of him, oh boy, forget it. But still, he's not going to let that happen.
What determines whether or not that small person is going to defeat that heavy person or fall to that heavy person? It depends on that small person. That's what it depends on. Not simply the fact that that other guy is bigger. That's it. Give this some consideration. Do you really believe that there's a rule set in stone that all big men can beat all smaller men in a real fight? I'm not talking about sport events.
You're not talking about the boxing ring. You're talking about the
But
street.
even in sporting events, if you want to think about it, should it really matter? Is it the size of the dog, or is it the fight that's in the dog, no matter what the size of the dog is? Think about it. Let's teach it. I'm out.
Yeah, that's the same thing like with Tyson. Tommy Tyson wasn't that small, but Tyson he always fight these guys were. Oh, they were like 6'4" or 6'5", and Tyson would put him on the floor. Then he not knocking them through the ropes and everything. This guy just, oh boy, well doesn't matter.